Designers and Builders, where design meets construction. We explore groundbreaking trends and talk to the pros reshaping our spaces. For your dream home, workspace, or just great design inspiration, subscribe to Designers and Builders.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Designers and Builders podcast. I'm your host, Steve Larosiliere. Today's guest is MeLinda Kann from MeLinda K Design. How are you, Melinda?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Steve?
Great. I'm so glad to talk to you. Tell us about MeLinda K Design.
Uh, just to talk about me. Well, I've been on my own for what feels like a really long time now as MeLinda K Design. I started actually in 2003. I tried to go out on my own doing side work, and I can be very honest that I was so intimidated by taxes and business processes, and I was so overwhelmed that I gave that certificate back and I told New York, leave me alone. That was in 2003. I did try. And then I just continued working and growing my status in the luxury market, which was really nice. I have a
Mhm.
really strong background in millwork and drafting engineering, and I worked for a bunch of custom shops as a drafting engineer and designer. So I'm not a draftsman, but I'm not just an interior designer. So throughout the years, I creeped my way into the luxury market for now, God, must be like at least 12 years now. So it's a lot of fun to play with really good budgets and really fun projects in New York City and clients that are, for the most part, they just really trust you and they want something unique, which is really great. And that led me to eventually going out on my own in 2019, to fully go out on my own. And I haven't looked back since.
Tell us about the part where you decided to go on your own. There was something you said about like building someone else's thing versus your
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, you end up in this sort of fatigue. Every boss that I've ever had knew that I had higher ambitions. I wanted my own showroom. I wanted to run things. I just kind of wanted to be and fully operate on my own. Whether it was in their name or not, I was just like, give me a showroom and I'll run it. Like that's how I always was. So they knew it when I was coming in that I had higher goals. I didn't just want to be an employee, and it wasn't just a job for me. But
Okay.
eventually you get really fatigued, making all that effort and pouring all that passion for someone else's name. So it starts to get frustrating because they do things differently than you would. And it's just your leadership thoughts start to take over. So I was sharing this with a client one day, a repeat client who is still my client to this day. We're working on a new project together now. We've been together, I don't know, since 2017. She's worked with me. And she just looked at me one day and said, I don't understand, Mel. Like, how did your boss do it? And I said, how did he do what? How did he go out on his own? And I said, I don't know. I'm sure he had a lot of money. I'm sure. Well, and she goes, well, how did he do it? And why just him? Why not you? And the question that was just posed to me, I was like, you know what? Why not me? How did he do it? I don't know. I didn't ask him. I didn't interview him, but it's just something that popped into my head that was going, everybody started from somewhere and he was working for someone else before he went out on his own, however many years ago. So whatever provoked him to do that, I was in the same position. All of a sudden I said, you're right. Why not me? Like, why can't I do it? Why is it only him? I don't have to work for him. He's not the only boss out there. And for the most part, I've had all male bosses and it hasn't always been easy. It's a tough industry. It's really, really hard industry. And as I've said, when they talk about women in business and they say, oh, the ceiling is glass. And I said, hold on. In construction, our ceiling is concrete. It is so
Yeah.
hard to
So
constantly have
hard.
to go into every room needing to prove yourself. And, I don't have this issue anymore, but I used to have like a serious baby face. So when I showed up, everyone just assumed I was the assistant or I was waiting for the designer or waiting for the leader. And I constantly have to be told that the amount of years I already had was still not enough.
Wow.
And it was, I'll never forget. Let me tell you, this one jerk. This one guy, one construction guy in New York City, I will never forget him. It put me way on the spot because I had to be composed in front of the client, and it was a challenge because I had 12 years in at that point, and he said that meant nothing. He wouldn't let me hold a tape measure. He said I probably couldn't read it correctly. This is everything he's telling me on a job site in front of the client, and it was really hard to not let the Puerto Rican come out. It was tough, but those are just things that we face and I had to get through it and eventually you prove yourself and then it's wonderful when you come across the right builders, the right GCs in this industry who don't make me have to explain myself. They're just like, hey, Melinda's here. And I've worked a really long time to build up collaborative relationships where my name kind of goes before me. And it's been great. So, and it happened through Millwork. A lot of people in construction are frustrated by designers. They feel like, designers are annoying and all they have is a vision and they have no idea how to execute it and they're disruptive and they're going to mess up, the flow on my job site. And so it's an uphill battle. Whereas I come in through the Millwork door and I'm quite necessary from the very beginning, from space planning and the entire project. So no one really questions me anymore. And it's kind of nice working on a project in that way.
That's
It's
so
fun.
cool. Yeah, and the other thing that I keep thinking about, so you had these external factors.
Mm,
Talk about the mindset shift you had to have, like all the internal work in order to even get to this point, right? Like,
yeah.
can you talk a little bit
It's,
about that?
you mean from like first starting in my career?
Or just like mindset of growing a business to where
Oh,
you are
yeah.
now. Yeah.
The hardest part about that was realizing that running a business, you can run a business in any field. Running the business is its own thing. So, my passion, my abilities, my expertise in design does not translate into business. I still had to learn. I had to discover what my processes would be. I had to figure out how I would price so that I could not only just, have a good project, but be profitable. It was really, really hard because I had to kind of explain and show my family that I left this amazing salary and this amazing commission because I was so frustrated I can do it on my own. But how am I going to support, the family, and how am I going to make an income out of it? Not just, have this beautiful portfolio of projects. The money has to follow. So
Yeah.
the mindset was really challenging because I was almost off to the races, working on the project, happy as can be. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I didn't make any money. And I worked on this for a year. And it was really hard to become a boss and not just a
Mhm.
designer. I can't even tell you how challenging it was. I think the first year, it took me almost 2 years to figure out that what I was doing was completely wrong. It's what I
Mhm.
assumed my bosses were doing, but we can't see the back end processes of a lot of these larger
Yeah,
companies. So on the
for sure.
face of it, I'm thinking, okay, I just do this, this, and this, and I make money. My God, no, I was wrong. So I came, thank God, there are Facebook groups and there are other designers in this industry who don't gatekeep. And they have been wonderful. In the beginning of my career, there were some horrible gatekeepers. You could ask them any single question and they were like, nope, I've been to the School of Hard Knocks. You go there too. And I'm just
Wow.
like, okay, so you're making it hard for me on purpose? Okay, no problem. I'll figure it out. But then you meet these wonderful people who are willing to tell you everything about their process and how they price, especially when they're in the same market. New York City is its own beast. As you know, in Chicago, I mean, there is just pricing is completely different than in the
Yeah.
Midwest, California, anywhere else. The processes are different. The
The
DOB is
permitting,
different.
the permitting. Yeah,
It's a
yeah, yeah.
challenge. Everyone says, "Oh, you're gonna work on, a kitchen and a bathroom. That should take you, what, a couple months?" And I'm like, "Yeah, try like 7 or 8 or 9 months. Thank you, DOB. Thank you, permits. Thank you, super. Thank you, everybody involved in this project." Yeah, it's
Yeah.
different. And then you have to make sure that your time is being covered for the amount of time you've invested into this project, and it's always gonna go longer. So it's just,
Mhm.
I went through my own hard knocks, with it, and the mindset just getting stronger every year. I'll never forget when my accountant said to me, "Oh my God, you like tripled your business." And I said, "Not only did I triple my business, I tripled my design fees, which means it's not going out to cost of goods and it's not running away from me." And that was the first time I felt like I got it. But it took a long time. And it took collaborating with these other women and signing up to learn the processes of interior design and how to be profitable, how to make money at it. Because I'm looking at margins in the construction field and I'm like, that's it. They do all this work. They're working on
Yeah.
multi-million
Oh,
dollar projects and that's all they're coming home with. I said, I don't know if that's worth it. So I had to really take a look at it and say, you know what? I'm happy um, to affirm what other people are doing based on my process. But I said, if they only make this much, it doesn't mean I only have to make that much. I kind of just found my niche because I'm millwork, because there's
yeah.
not a lot of people who do what I do. There's not a lot of designers who call themselves millwork specialists. So I know what I have. And that comes with a cost. And it's really helped me to scale my business.
I what you just said resonates be like if you look at margins of traditional trades construction,
Hmm.
it is really small. But I think you probably figured out the thing a lot sooner than I did, that really it comes down to the value. Because
Yeah.
if you look at the traditional status quo of construction and the trades, it's
Yeah.
like the bar is really low. And if you operate above the bar,
Yes.
people are willing to pay for that. Like
They're
the
willing to
right
pay
people.
for it if you have the right people affirming you.
Yeah.
Like what I have found, the contractor, there's people already telling
Mm-hmm.
them that they need to work with me. That has made it
Mm.
so much easier because a lot of times, especially in this DIY community and everybody just thinking they can do everything themselves, or
Yeah,
now they
yeah,
just want to
yeah, yeah.
join on AI and they're like, I can figure that out myself and I can get inspiration myself. And it's like, hey, if you want to whittle my expertise down to like paint finishes,
Uh,
then okay. But that's not what I do. It's actually like the last 5% of what I do.
yeah.
So it's very it's interesting how the industry is changing. And I'm not intimidated by AI. I don't think a lot of people are. I mean, the I don't know, it's helped in the processes, which is really nice. The stuff that we don't want to do in business, it's no different than when I started to scale. I no longer do my own renderings. I outsource that. I'm very good at rendering. I don't need to be the one
You don't need to
rendering.
do it.
So
Yeah.
the only thing I am in control of for the most part is drafting details because I oversee that meticulously because that's my name, that's my brand pretty much.
Yeah.
But I don't need to sit here and figure out accounting. I don't need to figure out email blasts and all of that stuff. AI all day.
AI
No
all day.
problem. Get my communications list, set me up on an ad for Instagram, no problem. I don't need to be doing that. So it took me a long time to realize I can't do everything and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know a single boss who does. It's even though it's nice for me to be in control of an entire project, I don't need to be in control of every facet of the business. I can just hire people that I trust, and it has made the biggest difference for me because the projects are fun, but they're
Yeah.
long. They
They're
take
long.
years. I
Yeah.
got a project in Boston that is like 3 years, and they're
Wow.
finally up to Millwork, and now it's like all eyes on me. And I now have to be the one coordinating every detail. I have to answer every call. I'm no longer on the downtime. I'm like, everybody's got their eyes on me. So it's just a lot of pressure. And all of a sudden, 3 years later, we're finding out that this needs to adjust and that needs to adjust. And that's just the way things go. But I'm like, can I please be done with this project in my lifetime?
How
But
a lot of designers get stuck in this sort of slow motion projects where cash
mhm,
flow, motivation, identity
yes,
get tested.
yes.
How do you address that around boundaries, momentum, and the structure?
Well, I basically had to learn. So I told you I discovered processes from other designers. So I learned from the Interior Design Standard, which is a fantastic program, about kind of taking control. But for the most part, it is a lot of disclaimers. It's a lot of covering your future. It's making sure that for all the things that could possibly go wrong, it could possibly make a job site project go even longer, you're covered for all of that because I'm a flat fee designer. I don't do hourly. I don't have time to keep track of hourly. I don't have time to constantly bill you. I just want you to know that this is what it takes for me to be on your project. But you know what? If your project exceeds the anticipated time frame, this will be your new fee structure. And it doesn't matter what the delay was. Right now, the delays in Boston had to do with sewage lines and all kinds of things that had nothing to do with
Mm,
me.
good,
So
yeah,
now, how
yeah,
do I get married to this project for 3 years on the original design fee just because it took you all this time to get back around to me. So I've been covered for years now, making sure that my time is anew, and
yeah,
that's something that newer designers don't do. They're afraid, first of all, they're afraid of their design fee, which I've never been afraid of telling someone who
yeah,
has a lot of money that I cost a lot of money also. So I've never had an issue with it. But I said I can't afford myself, but it is what it is. But there's
yeah,
some designers who they're afraid to charge. They have no disclaimers in there. And next thing you know, the project tacks on for a year and a half, 2 years, and they're crying because now they're not being paid for their time. They don't know how to ask for more money. I said, you can't ask for more money now. You had to let them know from the beginning of the project that if the project got out of hand, they would be responsible. If you don't say that up front, you can't revise your contract in the middle of it all. You're kind of out of luck.
yeah. I don't
So
know.
it's just
Yeah,
something I learned because all of my projects are so long. I was able to approach every new one knowing this is not going to get done in a year. So let's make sure that we're all covered so that it's fair, so that I can continue working on your project, not resentful, not unhappy that I'm here. It is what it is. I don't mind if the projects go long as long as everyone is covered.
Talk to me about designing that sells versus designing that builds. Like, how do you earn the trust of
Hmm.
builders and fabricators?
Uh, well, I do my own shop drawing, so that's a big key. That's one of my big selling points. Is they know that I can engineer whatever it is I
That's
conceive.
dangerous. That's dangerous
Dangerous.
because
Oh, it's so
that's
dangerous. And you
dangerous.
know
I
what?
literally just came from a shop drawing right now, like right before this call, and I saw my fabricator just like on it, and I was like, "Damn, that'd be nice to have that."
But you know what the interesting part is I tell them all the time. Now I have shops that I collaborate with and partner with
Mm,
that if I ask them to do it, I know they can do it.
yeah,
So I said, if I drew it, then it can be made. So it's not,
yeah,
it's a matter of cost or it's a matter of time is one thing. But a
yeah,
lot of times, shops, they like to talk you out of design concepts or they talk interior designers out of design concepts because
for
they just don't want to
sure.
do it or it
They
wasn't
don't
in their
want to do
original
it.
bid. And now all of a sudden, they just want to change the scope of the design. They can't do that with me because I'm like, I know exactly what I sent to you and I called it out for pricing. And I actually already know. I have an entire program. I have a linear foot pricing. I have lots of things. So I'm already well prepared for what the shops are going to cost. I can estimate a figure on the spot and just put my margins on it. So that's really been a powerful tool for me, not having to wait 2 to 3 weeks for pricing. So, but it is a different kind of approach because most designers will have a concept and they're not realizing there are seams, there are grain patterns, there are all kinds of things that could possibly go
Crooked
wrong.
walls, yeah,
Yes. Yeah. And they're like, I don't understand. Why is it different here than in my drawing? And it's like, your drawing, you mean your sketch or your overlay
yes,
or your magazine clipping? So that's the problem with a lot of designers is
yeah,
they're going into a detailed spec meeting with a concept. And because they don't understand, they don't realize, hey, your space is bigger than this. So now this changes the shape of your arch. This changes the shape of your whatever. And they're just not seeing it. And shops
mhm,
are not designers. They don't want to be. So if they come across something that looks ugly, they're not going to tell you if it's ugly. They're going to tell
yeah,
you if it doesn't work. But if
yeah,
it's ugly, they're just going to be like, oh, well, that's what you drew. That's what you
yeah.
conceived. And they put it back on you. So it's interesting because I'm finishing up the last modules, but I came up with a course just for this, and it's called the Millwork Maven, and
Amazing.
it's for interior designers to take more of a command when it comes to millwork and not necessarily be run around, especially when a builder or a GC who's using, flat stock cabinetry is telling you that can't be done. So it's like approaching these projects with a custom mindset, understanding woodworking to to a degree that you can have these conversations and feel confident and know that you can say, hey, I know you can do this. Can we just try this kind of hinge or can we try just this angle? Maybe we'll do this kind of joint instead. And trying to empower designers in that way because that's where we fall short. That's where the frustrating part comes in. I tell people all the time, millwork is the most expensive ticket on the whole project, the
Yeah,
most expensive. People are like, "Oh, I did $150,000 kitchen." I said, "Most of my kitchens are 150,000 in cabinetry." But it is the most expensive thing. So if you get it wrong and you don't find out till
it's
it's on the job
expensive.
site, who's eating it
Yeah.
and who's fixing it? And now who has to make the concession on the design? The client. So so I try to
And
empower
that's actually
designers
the
to
worst. That's
yeah, it
actually the
is.
worst when clients have to live with the thing that was done
Yeah.
because it wasn't solved for before. That's
It
yeah.
was and the worst part is it's very undermining for it to come up in that stage, for you to not be
Yes.
aware that this is how the pieces came together, because now it's the opportunity for the contractor or the cabinet maker, whoever it is, to now say, "Well, I guess they didn't realize that, or they haven't been doing this that long." And next thing you know, the trust is broken that you had worked so hard to
Broken.
establish.
Oh my
The
God,
millwork
broken.
is the most powerful element of a project if it's that type of project. If it's a decorating only project, it's something different. But when you're talking built-ins and new builds and new construction, forget it. You get it wrong and you've just cost them tens of thousands of dollars or a part of the design that they have to just go fine. I tell my clients all the time, I am not going to let anyone get away with it because I don't want, it's the one thing you're going to talk about forever. Every time somebody comes in and looks at your beautiful project, you're going to say, I wanted this, but I couldn't get it.
did.
Or I wanted that and it didn't happen the way I thought it would. And next thing you know, that's the focus. And as much as you say it's not, it is. I will never forget. I did this gorgeous project for this very high-end client. You sign the NDA, whatever, for this person. And I don't care who I work with. I never even meet them half the time. You're working with their team. But anyway, it was a fantastic project in Massachusetts. And I put together this hood. And I love creating things that no one else has. And I don't care if anyone ever sees it. I don't care if it ends up on Instagram or whatever. But I'm just like, ooh, yay, budget. Like no budget. I can have fun here. And so I just, this really cool hood, and it was this integration of metal. It kind of melted into the woodwork, and it was really awesome. And at the end of the project, all I do is do the design, and I send it off to the builder, and he has his millworker make it. I did the shop drawings and everything. Next thing you know, he sends me the pictures, and I said, ew, what is that? And he had a regular stainless steel tapered hood up there. I said, I'm sorry, what happened to the custom hood I did? He goes, oh, well, I didn't like it. I said, you didn't like it. Okay, no problem. 6 months later, he forgot. And he's texting me going, I'm using this project as a walkthrough. And they're just like, God, why didn't we do something different on the hood? Why did the hood end up that way? And I said, excuse me? That was your choice, your decision. You decided you didn't want to even find out what it would cost. But how quickly they forget. And next thing you know, my design could be better. And it's frustrating because I'm like, wait, it was. So it's a challenge. I can tell you sometimes because I do a lot of remote work across the country that I will never, ever see. And I do work for other designers. I do work for private clients. And so half the time I'm just drawing this awesome millwork and hoping for the best. And I'm realizing half the shops across the country, they're like, oh, she has no idea what she's drawing because they can't do it. I'll never forget. I designed a chef's pantry for this job in Texas. And the woman writes to me and she goes, my millworker wants to know where can he buy it? I said, I'm sorry, buy what? He's supposed to make it. Is he serious? So this is what is out there. And
For sure.
you want to hear something interesting? I did a beautiful project in Texas. And I mean, bigger, better, holy cow. You know, their projects are nice. They have a lot of space. And I had only done drawings for it. I had never seen this kitchen completed ever. And I'm scrolling Instagram, and on the Kitchens of Instagram profile, this kitchen pops up. And this is 2 years later after I did the drawings. And I said, that looks really familiar. And I was like, wait a minute. That's my kitchen. And I can spot my work a mile away.
Wow.
And then I immediately, was like, I wrote to the client. I said, I didn't even know you were done. Can I put this on my Instagram? And that's when I then shared it and got, the views from it. But cool. I'm very attached to what I do. I remember every project.
Tell me, what does the business look like today? How many people, how many projects you currently working on?
Well, fun. So yes, I went out in 2019 on my own. I did a show house. I did the Brooklyn Heights show house and did the laundry room there. And the business just kind of scaled from there, which was fantastic. And in 2022, I started the investment into my own studio, secured the space, worked on it, fully gutted it. It was a nail salon, actually the nail salon in my neighborhood. And I ended up taking it over and then my space opened up in early 2023. So I've had my own studio. I do have a designer who works with me, who we worked together years ago. She was just out of college when we worked together in, I think, 2016. And she caught my attention because I'm a very highly detailed person and she was very good as well. So I was like, out of college, this is pretty good. She had a great attitude and she learned very quickly. And she ended up working at that company for another 7 years. So that means she only got even better with the details. So the second I found out she was gone from there, I was like, please come work for me because you're the only other person I know who's even close to being a replica of me. So I was like, I need you. So
she does renders and she does shop drawings
renders we don't buy. Renders we outsource, but she does all the drafting. She does shop drawings. I oversee. We do design concepts together. So it's been really, really a great partnership working together with someone I know I can trust. Because it's not easy to find people who do what I do out there. There's no one. There's no one. Yeah. But yeah, so the business today, I do have my designer. I have my design studio. I have fantastic projects that I work on less than 10 projects a year usually. Otherwise, I do collaborative work with other designers. I ghost design for some designers, and I just do all their millwork drawings, all their space planning drawings, anything like that. And that's been really fun as well. Just to
Mhm.
see the kind of projects that they're able to work on. And there's some colorful things out there, some really fun millwork designs that people aren't doing here. So there are jobs in California. So I've had a lot of fulfillment just kind of doing that. I've moved past the stage where everyone needs to know it's me. I don't need all the
Yeah. You
accolades.
love
I
the
don't need
work.
my
You
name on
love the work.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
the work and I just need to keep the business going. That's it. So it's just
Yeah.
we need to have the cash flow is basically in doing design work for others, and then I get to have fun on the projects that I work on here. So,
You say you're Puerto Rican, right?
yes, sir.
Is that what you? Yeah. That's very Caribbean of you. I need to continue working.
Is there? That's funny. I want to tell you an interesting story. This just came up recently. So
Uh-huh.
someone reached out to me. You never know if this is spam, right? You get these weird people reaching out to you all the time for design work. But someone said, "Hey, I'm working on a project in Newark, New Jersey. It's a pretty big one. Your name was on the project, and things aren't really going well with the millwork. And I just wanted to know, like, is there someone else you can recommend?" And I was like, "Hold on, who is this?" And I said, "No, I'm not familiar with the project at all. I mean, I don't know, but I know I can help you. So let's hop on a call to help you." You know what happened? Over 2 years ago, a designer friend of mine who worked for an architect, she put my name on the project as the millworker of choice. And I had no
Wow.
idea. And so she laid that path for me well over 2 years ago for a giant, giant project. And all she did was ask me would I be willing to go to New Jersey? I said, "Yeah, sure." So when the guy reached out to me, I had no idea what he was talking about because I didn't know the name of the project. I had no reference point. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this was her. And I immediately wrote to her. I said, "Girl, did you just drop this blessing on me?" And she did. And I was like, that is
That's
the most
beautiful.
tremendous feeling to know that kind of my name is going ahead of me, which is really kind of nice. And it was a first and it's been overwhelming and I'm grateful. I'm grateful. It took a long time to get there.
How
And
how
she
did that
actually
change you? How did that change for you, like your perception of reputation?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I met her at the Brooklyn Heights Show House. So here it
Okay.
is, just having this wonderful conversation. She was really drawn to my design of the room, the custom millwork, the amount of time we were able to accomplish this room in. It was a lot of good storytelling. And she was just a really sweet, wonderful person. And you meet people and then you're like, "Hey, I don't know if I'll ever see you again." But next thing you know, 2 years later, she called me and she said, "You dropped in my spirit. I need help with millwork. And I just thought of you." So I looked up the list of designers at the Brooklyn Heights Show House, and there you go. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's crazy."
That's beautiful.
So what I have learned is all I need to focus on is connection. That's it. I love my one off clients. I love those really fun projects that you get. But I do stay in touch with the clients. They're almost always become friends because we do work together for a long time. But your project manager, your architect, your GC, those are the people that I work to impress because they're the ones who are working on their own things and just giving me a call when they're ready. That's what's been the
That's
best
great.
thing about it is knowing that they can rely on me, that they can trust my details, that they can trust my measurements, and that's been incredibly rewarding because I don't advertise. I don't really have a marketing budget. I don't do anything. I work off of referrals, and they kind of just pace themselves at the right time and they come in. It's been great.
What's a dream project for you?
What's a what?
Dream project.
Oh gosh. My actual dream project is a little bit on the commercial side, hospitality. I've always wanted to design a boutique hotel. That has been my thing. I've done some commercial projects. I did a salon in New York City. I've done a cookie shop. I've done a meditation studio. I've done a crystal store. I've done a lot of fun things around my local area and in the city. But the boutique hotel, something about it, like from ground up, I just want to be able to make every decision on it. That's been my dream for a long time. And I actually found someone on Instagram. I forgot their name, but I started following them recently because that's what they did. They just found a boutique hotel that was, for sale and it became their whole storyline. And I was like, "Oh God, that's my dream. My absolute
So
dream."
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with cabinetry or whatever, anything like that. It's just more that's the fulfillment in me, what I went to college for. That's what I always
Mhm.
wanted. I never really wanted to be in millwork. It just ended up that way because I started working as a drafting engineer while I was studying. So
Yeah.
I decided while I was in school, if I have to work, I'm going to work in my field. And it was the best decision I ever made. I worked for an architect. I was doing as-builts. I was doing at least like 30 as-builts a month while I was still in school in
Wow.
2005. And then I started working as a drafting engineer as an intern. I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and I sold myself that I really know what I was doing, and they taught me everything, and they were attached to a cabinet shop. So if I didn't understand, he would take me in the back and just show me, this is edge banding, this is this, and that kind of skill. In
Is it?
school, they were still learning how to use CAD, and here I am learning how to
Would you go
build
to college?
cabinetry.
Would you go to
Hmm?
school?
Yeah, of
Would you go
course.
to
I
school?
went to New York Tech for
Okay.
interior design. I transferred there as my second transfer. I
Hmm.
went to school in St. Joe's for teaching, didn't like it. Then I went to New Paltz for theater
In
design
Hop
and
Hog? Is
performance.
that St. Joe's and
Yeah.
Hop Hog? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I went to New Paltz for theater design and performance, which was fun, but wasn't what I really wanted to do in my life. And I said, all right, I got one more chance. I'm going to transfer one more time to find something that I love. I'm either going to do wedding planning or I'm going to do interior design. And I ended up at New York Tech, and it was great. And so I had to redo 4 years, even though I had already done 3 years of college. Kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But those
Yeah.
4 years meant that I had 4 years of experience in my field when I graduated. So I basically was able to ask for whatever I wanted when I walked out that door. So that was
That's
fun.
incredible. That's so
Yeah.
cool. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
and
Oh,
especially since it became millwork. And next thing you know, every job I got had to do with cabinetry or project management over cabinet installations or as built with cabinetry. And next is it just became my experience year after year, job after job. And I don't mind job hopping at all because with every set of experience, I was able to now get more money and get a higher title. And that's basically how I just worked my way up into New York City and to being known for what I was doing. So
that's so cool.
mm.
How Tell me, what's the biggest challenge in your business right now? Like what's the thing that's like keeping you up at night?
The thing that's keeping me up at night, well, with these long-term projects, as you know, now while my time is covered, the payments are few and far between. They're large payments, but they're few and far between. So
Yeah.
just the business and operating is just hard. I have a life, I have 4 kids, and I want to give them everything. They want piano lessons and gymnastics and all that kind of stuff. And I'm running a business. I have salaries and I have operating expenses. And next thing you know, it's just the smallest amount is left for me at this point. Uh, so what keeps me up at night is just being able to get to the point where there aren't so many starts and stops on the projects that severely interrupt the cash flow. That is really, really stressful because when the jobs are just moving and the payments, you ask for the payments and they come and everything works, great.
Yeah.
But I've had projects where they paid me in full a year prior, and the next, the job is delayed 4, 5, 6, 7 times over, and it's just and what am I supposed to do now? And now they just pick up out of nowhere, and I'm not even expecting it, and it's been really
And then you got to
hard
put in
because
the time. Yeah.
yes, now I have to fit you in, and now I have to contact all the vendors and get everything going, and it just ends up being this kind of when I bid the project, I was ready. I was ready to start and head off, and now it's been all this time has passed, and now that's really the hard part. But otherwise, I have great fulfillment in what I actually do. I'm super proud. There have been so many ups and downs. It has really almost slipped away from me multiple times.
Hmm.
And I'm honestly just so grateful because the next thing you know, there's a phone call with a referral. And I'm like, oh my God,
Thousand
thank God.
percent.
So I don't suck at this. You have those doubts. And it's
Thousand
not
percent.
what I do, it's the business. Oh God, maybe I can't run a business, and you really start to doubt yourself because I also had to get over comparing myself to the other designers who appeared to be more successful because man, I realized once I found out, I was like, wow, an illusion. That's why I said, you know what? I don't care. I don't care about that
Yeah.
anymore. I don't care about the publishing. I don't care about putting my name on everything. No, I'm over it. I'm over it. It wasn't
Hmm.
real anyway. You paid for that. So I was like, you know what?
It
Forget it.
was
That wasn't real.
it wasn't real. You paid for it. Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Proof.
the thing the only the so when I think about this line of work, like I love the satisfaction of like a client getting what they want. I love that,
Yes.
just like knowing that we delivered something from an aesthetic perspective that somebody
Yes.
gets to live in. The only part of it does is like, damn, I wish more people could see it. Like that's the only part to me is
Of
like
course.
you know what I
When
mean?
it comes
Because
to the millwork is the part of the architecture of the space. There's not a lot of
yeah,
times that designers really get to be a part of that.
yeah,
We're involved in stuff that we know they're going to change later. And actually that's
yeah.
part of the selling point is you can change it later. right? But when it
Yeah.
comes to what we're doing, it's like, no, the living breath of this space is based on what I put in here, and that's the anchor for the whole design. That is so rewarding. It's one
It
of the
really is.
best feelings
Yeah.
because I'm like, I know it's going to take a lot of money to rip that out. So you might paint over it, you might change the color, but that is going to stay because one of the
It's
most, when
gonna
you go to
stay.
these old homes, one of the best parts of the walkthrough is that old wood, that creaky wood, and just knowing the story behind it. It's 100-year-old case good in there, and you're just looking at
Yeah.
it, and that's going to be me. I said, if you don't
Yeah.
tear this house down, then in 50 years, your children are still going to be enjoying this, and you're going to pass this along. And that to me is just
I love that.
tremendous.
Yeah. Same. Likewise. Likewise.
But it's somehow only if you're part of the millwork.
Only, yeah.
Because
No, I
anything else,
understand.
they'll just change, when the colors change and the new
The
person comes
tastes and
in.
the trends or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. 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 Tell me, what does the future hold for you? What does the next 6 to 12 months look like for your business?
Well, hopefully this Newark project kicks off because what I told him is you guys have been stalled for 2 years. So hand it over to me and
Hmm.
unleash me and I'll take care of it. I'll get us moving. So that's a fun one that hopefully comes through. But one of the best things that happened is a girlfriend in design told me about the Ronald McDonald House. The Stony Brook contracted to have a new Ronald McDonald House built around the hospital. And Stony Brook Hospital is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've been following the stories about the contractor who was awarded and all kinds of stuff. And next thing you know, my girlfriend says, hey, they had a list out for designers. Why didn't you apply for it? And I said, what do you mean, for a room? Oh my gosh. So I applied for it, but the deadline had already passed by 2 weeks. So I said, I don't think I'm going to get this. I'm probably just going to end up on the wait list. And that's what happened. And next thing you know, she goes, you know what? I am so overwhelmed. Would you just do this project with me and we can collab on it? And I was like, yes. So I don't know what room we're getting. This just happened, and so I just received the letters
Congrats.
a few days ago.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
so I'm like, this is so rewarding for me. My daughter, my last daughter, she's 6 months old. She went to the NICU. We thought we were prepared. We didn't know for certain, but we were ready for it. For us to have to set up with the Ronald McDonald House to be near her. And it turns out, thank God, she went home after 3 days. But it's always been this thing where it's like, wow, the Ronald McDonald House is it's just such a comfort and such a taking that pressure and that stress off of people's minds is beautiful. And designing something that potentially, a sick child is in and brings them comfort. Oh, I
Yeah.
know. I already know the whole design in my head. I'm like, please, let's go. Let's go. I'm so excited.
That's so
So for
cool.
me, that is rewarding.
That's
Um,
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's what I'm looking forward to the most out of the next 6 months. Plus, this hopefully this Boston project is finishing, and then I have a project in Savannah hopefully going. Yeah, send me anywhere.
Cool. I want to try something new. I've done it on like other podcasts that I've done is like, let's use the last couple minutes to just brainstorm. Like, what's something
Sure.
that, like, just to get another set of eyes and ears on,
Hmm.
like what's a challenge in your business that we could just like workshop and just like walk through right now? Like, what's something, is it like maybe the long-termness of things, or like what is there something that you would, that's aside, that's keeping you up, or like a challenge that you'd like to like brainstorm and work through?
Well, let me ask you: when it comes, do you use any AI in what you
Yeah,
do?
of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In the
Absolutely.
processes, or just in the design part?
Processes.
In the processes. So that's
Yeah.
the only. So I have a ton of girlfriends who they're doing phenomenal with it. And I almost feel like I'm about to miss this boat because I'm just so busy that I don't have
Yeah.
time to set up the AI. So I
Yeah.
think the biggest part of me is I want to integrate it more than I
Hmm.
do currently because I want to trust it. But there is a certain element to it of unleashing that level of control, um,
Yeah.
and knowing that it's
Yeah.
set up in perpetuity, that it's just going to keep going and every time it'll work.
For sure.
So
Well,
yeah.
well, maybe start with like a bottleneck, and then we can kind of like work from there. Like, what is a bottleneck for you?
Okay. So a bottleneck for me would probably be I see every other designer is actually following up with their leads and their clients, and they have blogs and they have emails, and they're
Yeah.
setting everything up kind of automated.
Mhm.
They are using AI to post on Instagram. And so that's where I completely just fall short. It's not that I
For
don't have the
sure.
concepts, I don't have the time.
For sure.
And
For
then they're
sure.
like, you just really need to make the time. I understand that. But that is the bottleneck for me is I feel like I could grow more in that way and maybe get more organic
Mm-hmm.
people interested and not have to worry about relying on referrals. The
For
only thing that
sure.
kills me about referrals is sometimes it's the idea, the project is there, but it's so far out that I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, mama wants to start next week. So what do we do? So, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Cause
figure
you're
out
like
how to
ready to
reach.
go, right? Like,
I
and how
am.
do you get more people in a
Yes.
sustainable way so that
Yes.
you're not having to wait so long for these long
Yes.
projects? Because those
And
long
people don't,
projects
yeah. The
are
hard
worth
part is
it,
clients don't know what
right?
the heck. They're like, "What do you mean millwork specialist?" They over there, they'll design the kitchen for me. And I'm like, "Yeah, I get it. I'm not just a kitchen designer. What about your built-ins? What about all the other rooms in the I usually work on
Yeah.
10 to 12 rooms in a home." So
That's
that's
incredible.
been the hard part is getting clients to understand what I do. Trades understand completely what I do. They trust me
Yeah,
immediately. Clients are just like, "Millwork designer. What does that mean?"
for
And
sure.
if I'm just an interior designer, now it's like, "Oh, there's a dime a dozen. There's so many of you. What makes you different?"
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a different type of selling myself that I'm just
For
not used
sure.
to. Like I said, I'm used to my reputation kind of going before me. So that is the bottleneck. How on earth
So
do I
I got you.
reach
I got you.
private
So
people?
here's what you can one of the things that you could do is like take your customer list, right? Like from a
Mm,
conceptual perspective, take your customer list, take their addresses, take
mm,
their personality type, and then run it through AI so that
mm,
you can start to develop a ideal customer profile in ICP. And
mm.
like, cause that would be like, honestly, the first thing that I would do. You see, like,
Really?
it's so funny. As I'm talking to you, you kind of reminded me of, did you watch I just pulled it up, the Netflix show, The Art of Design. Did you ever watch those?
No.
You got to watch it. Cause like
Okay.
you're a super creative person and I could totally see how people want to work with you because your skill set is dangerous. I'm telling you,
Thanks.
as a somebody from like a colleague perspective, like I feel like a
Thanks.
hack compared to you, right? And so like the other thing is, so there's this woman named Ez Devlin, and
Okay.
I'll text you. But anyway, the way she speaks about her art and her work, it kind of reminds me of that. Like she did the stage design for like Kanye's shows and Beyonce
Mm,
shows, and then like people contract her to do just like I forgot who was it, Yves Saint Laurent or said you could do you could design anything for our perfume, like just design anything, like they trust her like that. Like I think
yes.
you'll get a lot of inspiration from that.
Oh, that's
so that,
amazing. Mm,
so you are trying, I for your brand, your personality, I think you have to find the right people. It's not, if you're at 10 people, 10 projects a year and they last, you know, you know, 1 to 3
mhm.
years, like how do you start to attract more of those short-term projects
Yes.
that you can
Hmm.
probably like in your head bang them out really
I
fast,
know.
and then, but you need to understand who you are, like not just who you are, but who are the people that are attracted to you.
Mm,
And then you reverse engineer how you talk, what you talk. And then so there's almost like some internal work that needs to happen so that you can
mm.
say, like, what does MeLinda K design? How does that portray out into the world? Because
Yes.
once you have that dialed, the AI is going to make everything easy. Because then the next thing is like you can take your Zoom call, because I'm assuming you take Zoom calls, right? Like for
Yeah.
for your call, you can run an AI script, right? Like an AI agent that takes all of the highlights from your Zoom calls for the whole entire week and come up with 5 different Instagram posts, and all of those 10 to 12-second B rolls and photos that you take when you're on
Yeah.
site, just dump them all and it creates it all itself. Boom. That
What?
that is like, you could speak into WhatsApp and tell WhatsApp, "Hey, I got this idea. I just left a site walkthrough where we just did this. Realize that most times builders they don't have the skill. And so I had to go in and correct the builders because they didn't understand the true design and what was possible. And I had to advocate to make sure that the client's vision came through because they wanted to whittle it down so that it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can put that into a thing, and the next thing you know, it shoots it out to threads just from WhatsApp.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a little reel come up, and it's going to be your skill set is dangerous. And from what you just said. And, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
going to be
Oh
one
yeah.
of my
Your
first
no,
reels.
your skill set is dangerous. I like it's you're the bottleneck. You're the bottleneck, right? Like the only bottleneck is like the fact that you're so powerful that you're the only person that could do it. And if you could just like use AI to multiply, like we could
Yeah.
talk offline about that. Honestly, we can talk offline
Yeah.
because I want to show you some of the stuff that I've been doing. But like
Yeah.
that, I just want to give you a taste of what's possible. But it just kind of sounds like, yeah, you need to multiply. You need to leverage everything that's in your brain so that more people know exactly what you are. And so like I did see the Millwork Maven. That's a great idea. A potential better idea would have been MeLinda K Design Philosophy, that you like do a nice book that people that you give out. It's nice and glossy, and you mail it out to.
I've been dreaming about a book. Oh,
But it doesn't even
I
need
feel
to
like
be
I have
like
so many
that.
things that I haven't finished. That's what's like killing me. That's probably my bottleneck is that I can't finish.
But you're
all
a
the
mom
things
of
I wanna
4
do.
kids. You have so much going on. Like, but you need help, right? Like you need
Yeah.
there are things that you realize you can't do everything. But anyway,
Right.
I got you. We're friends now. So we'll do
Awesome.
Strong Island for sure.
That's right.
Cool. Tell everybody your website so that they could follow up and watch your work.
Okay, well, find me on Instagram. My
Okay.
handle is at MeLinda K Design. My website is not really as exciting. It's more the Instagram where I keep things kind of live and updated, although I should do more. But that's definitely where you can find me. I'm also on Facebook, but Instagram is way prettier. And just DM me there. You can take a look at all my posts. They're pretty fun. And I try to show like the other side of it. I most of my work is pre-finished. It's the whole process, not just the pretty part. I actually almost forget to take pictures of the pretty part every time. But if you follow me for all that stuff, I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And then last bit of parting advice, like your biggest lesson as a 10+ year entrepreneur.
The one of the most heartbreaking things I would say is seeing someone who has a talent and a passion for this industry and have to walk away because we just can't get the business right. So I would just say the most of us don't need to spend more time in education on design. Most of us have a real skill set for it. A lot of it we learn in the field. Respect the other trades. Try to learn as much as you can about what the electrician, the plumber, the tile guy, everybody is doing, not just the wallpaper hanger. Get a real handle of that and be familiar and confident on the job site so that you can be a formidable power when you're there. And that way, it's not just the design work. Now you are necessary from start to completion of the project. So I would say, you know, if the business is draining you somehow or it's not reflecting how successful you want to be, do not give up. Go find the resources. There are lots of interior designer groups on Facebook where we do not gatekeep and we share and we want this industry to rise up. There's plenty of room. We're not in competition with each other. I don't even care if you're down the block. We are here. There's a nice big beautiful table we have set and we just want everyone to be successful. So before you think of giving up, seek out the resources to strengthen your business. The only education you need is in the field and don't give up.
Awesome. MeLinda, it was such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for
that
making
was
the time to talk.
fun.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.